I rise in support of this measure. It would appropriately make California the first state to outlaw the practice of conversion therapy and so-called reparative therapy for young LGBT Californians. There's been discussion about what the role of the legislature should be in deciding these matters, whether it should be something that we leave to the boards that evaluate each of the different professional practices. Those boards operate within the confines and the regulations established by the legislature. Those are matters that we take up on a regular basis. Every session we have debates on scope of practice and what naturally falls within a variety of practices. Historically, we've taken positions on a variety of different approaches to the practice of medicine, to the practice of family therapy, to the practice of psychology. We do so in the best interest of the people of the state, and we do so weighing all of the facts that come before us. We also have this debate in the context of an increasing number of cases of young LGBT kids who feel so isolated, so alone, so dehumanized that they choose to take their own lives. The answer to these kids is to ensure that they have a supportive and understanding environment so that they can weather a very difficult time in their lives as they struggle with their own identity. And reference was made to a colleague of mine who supports this measure, using a term that was thought of as derogatory. And quite frankly, the power of that term is something we've debated. But the more impactful situation is actions, whether they be by professionals or by parents, that serve to dehumanize, to make young people feel that they are less human because of who they are and because they have begun to deal with the reality of their identity. And I know that must be very difficult for some of my colleagues to understand. But what you'll notice is that the members of this body who've had to go through their own process of coming to terms with their identity in environments that have not always been welcoming, who have had to suffer through some of the very real challenges that we know that so many young LGBT youth have gone through. We all feel consistently that this is an appropriate measure. It is inappropriate for anybody, even parents, to subject children to dehumanizing activity. We've been clear about that as a legislature. When we've decided different laws regarding abuse, when we've decided different laws about what level of discipline is appropriate in a school, what level of discipline in a household is discipline, and what level is abuse. Now, this, in my opinion, is an abusive practice in the guise of therapy. And the reality of kids who've come through this, who've taken their lives, who've had their lives damaged as a result of this so-called therapy, is incredibly, incredibly negative. There is a question about what kind of laws we should be debating. And I think none are more important than laws that speak to our very humanity as people. And as I was sitting here listening to the debate, I was reminded of the words of Dr. King when he was sitting in a jail cell in Birmingham, Alabama. And he wrote his letter from a Birmingham jail. And he made reference to the great debates of St. Thomas Aquinas. And he asked what was a just law. And in essence, he said that any law that uplifts our humanity is a just law. And any law that serves to diminish our humanity is an unjust law. I believe that the measure before us fits in to Dr. King's definition of a just law. It helps us protect children from activities, well-meaning as they may be, that subject them to incredible challenges to their humanity and put their lives in risk.